Biename. I know he's here. And Board Member Desorme.
Here.
Chairman Joseph.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I will stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first order of business is the approval of the last minutes of September 13 and September 20.
Just need a motion.
Huh?
I just need a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
I have a motion on the floor by Board Member Keys, seconded by Chairman Joseph. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 4-0.
Okay, so now we can go to the items for review.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. Rasha Kamel, CRA Director. The first item is the CRA Attorney Letter of Engagement. This is to, as every year, we renew our engagement letter with our CRA Attorney. It is for no more than $80,000. There was a typo in the engagement letter that was online, so, and it was a negligible typo, so I printed out hard copies for you again, and it was the second page that had the wrong date on the top and the wrong name on the top. However, the amount is the same. It's what we've had approved, and it was approved in the budget. We recommend approval.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion on the floor by Board Member Keys, seconded by Board Member Biename. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 4-0.
Mr. Chairman, members of the CRA Board, I'd just like to thank you once again for renewing my engagement. I appreciate it. I've been here for 11 years now. And just to let you know, I haven't changed my rate in those 11 years, and I appreciate the work, and I love working for the North Miami CRA. As you know, I'm from Miami Shores, so you're our sister city up here, and I'd like to thank you.
Thank you. Item number 2.
Review and approval of the agreement to engage a consultant for Chinatown Master Plan. I want to refresh your memory. In February of 2016, the council had approved a designation of a Chinatown. In May of 2016, a delegation of city and CRA representative had gone to China to meet with business interests and to gear up some interest into the Chinatown. In July, we hosted several investors from China, and part of what we had discussed when the Chinatown designation was that we would hire and have a master plan designed for the Chinatown so we can ensure that we have proper development in that area. Mr. Alberto Destrade is here as the procurement director to briefly explain to you the process we went through. I'd like to thank Mr. Destrade for helping the CRA with the bidding process and how we got to where we are, and for him to elaborate a little.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Alberto Estrade, Purchasing Director, City of North Miami. To reiterate, or to follow up on what Roger mentioned, our department issued a solicitation on June of this year. It was actually a request for qualifications to seek firms that would be able to qualify firms to be able to initiate the design aspect of this project. We received 5 proposals, and we pursued and proceeded on a fairly comprehensive evaluation process. It was actually a 2-tier process of evaluation, and ultimately the committee selected as the highest ranked firm the firm that you have before you, Keith and Schnars. We engaged the firm in negotiations, and with the assistance of Rasha and other members of our staff, we were able to finalize an agreement with the firm. I'd like to add also that they were also sort of cooperative in the negotiation process. The proposal that you have before you in your package is for a total of a maximum not to exceed amount, of $175,000. The process will take approximately 6 months. Again, this is the initial design and development of the concept. It involves a number of stakeholder reviews, obviously with your board, and in other stakeholder reviews. There is a steering committee that I believe has been put together for this process, to sort of steer the process, if you will. And so therefore, our recommendation is that the board approve the contract with Keys Snars for a not to exceed amount of $175,000 for the Chinatown project.
Can you describe a little bit the scope of service? I mean, what we expect to get from the firm?
Well, the scope of service basically is a master plan. Is a developing of not only of a master plan, but obviously the intended uses along this corridor that will ultimately sort of fashion what the vision is for the city for this area. You know, this work really involves, as I said, more of a design and master planning concept. The actual execution of the work will take place after that. But that's ultimately really, or in general terms, what they will involve. There is a representative here from the firm. Her name is Ms. Debbie Love. And if you have some questions for her to be more specific as to the actual work that it entails, the actual development of the master plan, I'm sure she'll be glad to answer these questions.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm driving at, I don't know about anybody else. Does it entail, I mean, how do they go about designing a master plan without any input from any of us?
Larry Spring, Executive Director, through the Chairman. Remember, the City Council established a committee of selected individuals that will serve as a kind of an oversight committee for this project. I think we've already hosted at least one meeting. The committee is composed of business owners, residents. I think FIU is represented, and all of the stakeholders that we've identified or the board has identified.
We already chose those people?
Yes.
I don't remember
But
that.
would
it come back to us?
I don't know about it.
I don't recall us having any meeting where we chose individuals for that committee.
I don't know if, is Ms. Sejour here?
No, not.
I understand her department took the lead on putting
Yeah.
the folks together from
Yeah.
the Chinatown. But what the mayor said, when would we get an opportunity to put some input? Is there that within the plan, or is it only the committee? How does that work?
Well, no, certainly in terms of
board
the
will come
overall approval process.
Can I get my question answered first?
Yes.
As far as that committee, whom is it composed of? How many members?
There are, I don't know the exact number of members, but I can get you that information.
But you just said yourself that we, the council, chose those people. So who are they?
You have the members that I can speak of, the representatives are, I know the owners of Randy's
But who
Restaurant.
put that committee together? Who chose those people?
I thought it was done by the council, by the city council, but you're saying.
Not
you
by
can
us.
select members.
No. I don't think it was done by the council. I think part of the resolution when we did it was for them to establish a committee. And I think if you go back and you read
I'll get
what's
the,
online, but I don't think it was the
I'll have
council.
I can get the information.
I believe it's
I'll
Tanya's
text.
department.
Yes,
put it
that
together.
oversaw the process,
Yeah.
so I will get you the information before the council meeting starts, so. But what's the exact members?
I mean, so we do have documentation
Yeah,
in
we
the
do.
we do have documentation in that resolution to give CP&D just freedom to choose whomever
To establish the
they
committee.
choose.
To establish the committee,
We did.
when you designated the Chinatown.
I don't think that's
Yeah,
proper.
But in the resolution, we were gonna put together a
Yeah.
committee. But nobody never bring it to our attention about
Well,
it.
I mean, for something in this magnitude,
If I'm not mistaken, you even sent an email to us, but nobody replied to the email, and you guys just decided put
That's
the
what I'm saying. Let
committee
me,
together.
I'll have to pull the documentation that I have of all the committee members and the process by which they were selected and established. I don't have.
I
it
don't
with
think
me.
that committee is legit until we, the council members, decide that's the committee that we want to go with. I mean, for a project of this magnitude, for us to just sit here and just let staff decide whatever they want to do and whichever way they want to do it, that's not the way it goes. I mean,
Well-
we are, wait, hold on one second. We are the policy makers. We are the legislative body of this city. I mean, if things like that are going to be done, I mean, it behooves us, to really sit down and establish how we're going to go about it. We cannot just go and do things just like that. I mean, that's not the way it goes, folks. This is a government.
Well, let me respond to that and say this. Every time we do bring a master plan process before the council, and we're, in this case, because it is funded by the CRA and it is a CRA project, you will get feedback and have interaction with the consultants as you have with RMA and our marketing, and all that stuff always comes back before this board. So that process will be there. From a working committee standpoint, again, and I'll go back to the legislation that was adopted on the city council side, where that committee was established. So, all right, but I'll grab it. And that committee, again, my understanding of the purpose of it was to be a working committee of stakeholders that could give general feedback on.
You keep
what was
saying
going on.
committee, but we don't know. None of us knows about this committee that you keep referring to.
I'll pull the legislation and provide it to you.
But as far as we know, this committee does not exist. We did not know about it. It does not exist.
Well,
So stop referring to that committee,
well,
to
sir,
that
the
phantom.
The committee does
This is a
exist.
phantom. No, not to us. Not to me, as
Okay.
a matter of fact.
Okay, well,
It is not known to me, so we're not going to talk about any committee tonight. Let's talk about anything else but a committee.
okay. Well, right now, the item before you is the selection of the consultant to do the master planning process.
I move to continue that to our next meeting so that you have the opportunity to give us feedback on who the committee is that made this recommendation. Because obviously, if there's a question about the
Right.
validity of the committee, there'd be a question about their decision. So I'll make a motion that we continue this to the next CRA meeting.
I'd second for a question. When you say the committee, was the committee that approved this
Yes,
RFQ the same committee that we're talking about?
No.
No.
As a point of clarification, there's two separate committees. There's
Okay.
the evaluation committee, which is the committee that reviewed the proposals that came in and made this recommendation. Then there's the steering committee. And the steering committee is the one that's going to provide some feedback and some guidance during development of this process. I mean, I'd just like to add, in terms of the steering committee and the makeup of that committee, and obviously the board obviously has a significant role in the input in that, but the process really hasn't even been started because we're just right now bringing to you for award of the consulting firm. So really, in terms of any activity that's taken place, there hasn't been any activity by that steering committee. Now, the makeup of the committee obviously is at discretion of the board and city council.
I'll still keep my motion. Thank you. My
Well-
second.
Okay, yeah, for discussion. So you just stated that this procurement had no input from any of the committees, steering committee or whatever.
Right, it
that
was a separate, Mr. Chairman, a separate evaluation committee. Like any other solicitation,
Mhm.
we establish an evaluation committee. The steering committee will serve for the guidance of the process itself, and then obviously the makeup of that committee is at your discretion.
I have another question before we take that vote, just in case we don't continue it. I'd like to know two things. One, when we find out who this committee is and will we be able to have a little more input? And we didn't really get answered. Will we have input as to what direction or input to our consultant? And also, the second question is, it's a large contract, but I see it's broken down into several modules. Will we be doing one module at a time, or is it gonna be just spending it all at once?
Well, right, there's different phases to this process, right? There's, and it should be included in your package, but per their proposal, there's a planning phase, there's a planning process, there's a data collection and gap analysis of the process. There's a public involvement plan where there will be an opportunity for the public to give feedback and input. There's also a community opinion survey that they're going to put together, and so forth and so on. So there are different sort of tasks, different activities, phases, if you will, throughout the process. And obviously, they'll be paid as the process runs along, as they continue certain tasks and deliverables.
If you, through the chair, on page 17 of 29 of the backup, there's an actual detail of all of those phases with each point that will be touched in each of those phases.
Now, let me ask you, this is a CRA project, as I understand it, right? That's why it is before us, right?
Correct.
And why did we feel the need to actually come with an extra committee when we have a CRA advisory board? Why couldn't the CRA advisory board do that work that this committee was chosen for?
The clerk just showed me in the resolution designating it, in the whereases, it authorized the creation of a master plan and steering committee.
The creation, we understand that.
Right. So I'm asking the question, you were saying what was the need?
No, but but that committee could be the CRA advisory board too. It is a committee, but we could, if we met on it, we could decide, okay, we have a CRA advisory board. We could decide that that board could be that committee. I mean, we keep creating committees after committees after committees. It doesn't make things go faster when you already have a body that's there, and that's what they're there for, to advise us on CRA projects.
Can I say something, Mr. Mayor? Now, looking at the resolution, I had a little issue trying to pull it up. In the second section of the designation, it's authorized to create a master plan committee, and steering committee. And I think part of the issue when we created this committee is expert from the Chinese community that they wanted on the master plan idea. And it even talked about, like, we must have like a business owner or a resident from the Northwest 7th Avenue area. But the section 2 says the city council hereby authorize the interim manager to do whatever necessary to create a 7-member committee. So I guess the question the mayor was asking is the input, how I guess once, and this is just moving forward, not on this project, is the communication, I guess, notifying us, although we do give you permission to do it, I'm assuming on different projects on creating things, but I guess sending a simple email notifying on anything, say this is what the resolution says and this is what we are doing, et cetera, et cetera. I am aware, because Tanya did met with me at one point, once the several folks from the Asian, I believe, Miss, not Carol Keys, no, not Carol Keys, no, not Prager. Geimer is one, Jeff, I think Dr. Moise and some folks. So that's as far as I know, as far as the committee, but I think the resolution was specifically saying the different folks that should have been on that committee.
I have a question. I have something, Mr. Mayor. And as a solution for tonight, can we bring back the resolution to revise the resolution at the next council meeting while we are approving
and I wanted to make that point.
IFA?
The resolution that precedes me as manager, but the resolution was passed as a city council and not CRA. So if you want me to bring it back to the next council meeting on the 7th, we can bring it so you can designate the members. But I'll find, what I will do is gather the documentation and just email it to you guys tomorrow to figure out what, you know, how
Well-
it was constituted.
Well, Mr. Manager, I think it seems from what Councilman Bien-Aimé or the mayor saying, they would like more input on the committee.
Absolutely.
We
So
wanna revise the
revise
resolution
the
at
whereas
the
you
next
guys
meeting.
appointing versus them, you know, each member could have, a say or appointing one or two members from that particular, I think. Is that what you needed, Mr. Mayor?
yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's mean, okay. I don't know if Councilman Galvin still gonna keep a motion?
We
I'm
have a
happy to
motion.
withdraw it if the rest of the council feels comfortable voting tonight. You're ready to vote tonight. I'll withdraw my motion to continue.
Okay, that's mean the point is, if we even if we approve this, we're gonna bring the resolution.
Correct.
At the council
The
meeting.
board can revise that.
About the committee,
on
okay.
what
About
we
the
wanna-
committee.
About
About
the
the committee.
committee, okay.
So then, do we have a motion on the item then?
I make a motion,
Thank you.
In a second.
Okay, we
Yes.
have, okay, we have a motion on the floor by Board Member Desolme, seconded by Board Member Bien-Aimé. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0, as is.
Next item before you, before I introduce each items, I wanted to preface by saying that part of our CRA plan that was approved was that we would prioritize certain capital projects. And the first capital project that we're focusing on tonight is the downtown corridor as part of the downtown master plan. And as you're familiar, we've done parking studies, we've done the master plan that shows what we would like to see happen. And so item number 3 is part of this. After looking at our existing parking lot, we see that we need to either acquire the frontage on 125th Street or do a public-private partnership with the existing owners so that we can properly develop a top-of-the-line mixed-use parking garage with retail and possible residences on top. So this item before you, individually, items 3A, 3B, and 3C are to allow us to start negotiating with these property owners. So 3A is FAR Building LLC at 816 Northeast 125th Street. Unfortunately, Mr. Reynolds just texted me. He's not able to come. Tonight he had an emergency. He was there last night at the committee meeting. And we've already presented the MOU to him. The only change that's on the web that I actually made a hard copy for you is that we changed the date. We had originally done an MOU and the MOU is to negotiate either a purchase, a sale, a public-private partnership, so we can bring back to you for review and approval. The change is that they wanted to change it from October 2017 to February 28th, 2017. So we have pretty much a 6-month window to have a conversation, to negotiate with these property owners, for them to decide whether we are actually going to enter into a deal or not, and to bring it back to you.
And that's in all three of them?
Yes, it's in all 3 of
Same
them.
date.
So you have the hard copies on your
When you say
desks.
a deal, what do you mean?
Either
Buy,
P3
sell,
or
Okay.
buy,
Either we
whatever.
buy, we do
Okay.
public-private partnership with them. So before you, the first item is item 3A, which is FAR Building LLC at 816 Northeast 125th Street. And like I mentioned, Mr. Reynolds had an unavoidable emergency. He couldn't come tonight. If you have any questions on that item before you make the motion, and then I'll go down the next ones.
Mr. Chairman, through you to staff, I think I appreciate the activity, I appreciate the initiative that you're showing on a lot of projects. I think it's not being conveyed clearly to me what the heck we're even talking about. So I think even though our attendance in the audience is sparse, you owe it to everybody involved to slow down, stop, and tell us what it is you're asking us to do, and not assume anything. So I know we've had discussions in the past about building a parking garage, but I didn't know how you were expecting to fund that. I don't know if we approve any of this tonight, how you're still expecting to fund that. And you jumped right into this item, in my opinion, without a whole lot of background.
So, through the chair, if you allow me.
Go ahead.
For background, the CRA adopted a master plan some years ago that calls for the redevelopment of the downtown area. That master plan has been incorporated into the city's CRA plan that has been approved by the council, the CRA board, as well as the county has extended our CRA. One of the major projects or milestone projects in that master plan and in our CRA plan was the redevelopment of a catalytic project by way of a public parking garage to help stimulate foot traffic and to support the retail businesses here along 125th Street. As you know, those properties all of our parking lots, our surface lots, abut retail that is owned and operated by other people. Typical to any real estate transaction, in order to prevent those individuals, or rather to work with those individuals for a short period of time, we entered into a memorandum of understanding that says, for this short period of time, please allow us the room and the flexibility of time to sit down with you in good faith and try to develop a transaction. That transaction could be an outright purchase of their property to be included as part of our garage redevelopment. It could be a timed sale of the property, or it could be a public-private partnership by way of they put their land, their money, we put our land, our money together, and we redevelop. We develop a project and we share in the revenue and the up and down sides. The purpose of the MOU is for us to be time bound together, the CRA and those property owners. So for this amount of time, we are agreeing that we're going to sit down and work in good faith and try to negotiate a transaction. And more importantly, no other transaction or no other movement will happen during this time frame. So they wouldn't necessarily go and sell to Dr. Joseph.
What do you mean?
I'm just using your example. Dr. Joseph decides he wants to own all the real estate on 125th and starts making offers. They would come to us first and say, hey, just as a courtesy and because we have this memorandum of understanding, we have an offer on the table, but we're letting you know, hey, we're not accepting it right now so that we can finish our process. So that is the kind of detailed background of why we're doing it this way. It gives us, and it's showing to our business owners here that we are serious about what we're doing. We're entering to a legal agreement to actually try to effectuate a transaction. And if we get to the end of it, we'll see where we are. With regards to the funding mechanism, part of what will be developed in this negotiating time is exactly how are we going to fund the project, and we will figure that out together with all three property owners. And I'm excited. I've met with the property owners, and they are excited about us finally moving forward. So it is actually a good thing, and trying to be very transparent in our steps that we're making, and they're very deliberate steps, if you will. So
That's why we need Bill Clinton to be our secretary of explaining things. Because that's, just putting it in very, very clear language helps a great deal.
Why not Trump?
What, you want me to get into why not Trump?
Oh, God. Mr. Mayor,
Good.
can I? May I, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Councilman, Board Member Galvin. Because I didn't really know, I was asking myself, what is that? But and you eloquently explained that. I just have one tiny question. So the MOU doesn't mean anything. It's a good faith.
It does mean something because, and excuse me through the chair, it puts us in a first position of negotiation. So there's language in there that prohibits or prevents them from doing a deal with somebody else during this period.
What if they do?
They won.
Then we have an agreement that says we would go to court and get an injunction.
Oh, okay.
How's
That's
that?
serious. No, that's all. Okay.
How's that?
Okay,
No, no.
the owner, no, okay.
That's not gonna happen.
Mr. Gosling is
Oh, okay, one of the owners, okay.
Yes.
No, they
Okay,
wanna
I got
negotiate,
you.
and
Okay.
we don't wanna spin our wheels.
So, this is which building, the 99 cents, the FAR?
This one there.
In
The FAR
Across
is
from us.
where the, it's a two-story building.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I know the FAR.
between
What about behind it, no?
behind it.
The 99
Goesland-
cents building?
That's the Dollar Tree?
Yeah, the Dollar Tree.
That's, next month, we're gonna bring that back.
Oh, okay.
These are the frontage. 3B is Goesland Properties, 810 Northeast 125th Street. Mr.
Well,
Goesland is in
which
the
one?
audience, and that's the
Yeah, the
corner
development.
of
Okay.
Mhm.
8th Avenue and 125th Street. Where
Across the
there's a
street.
lighting, across the street, there's a music store.
It's,
Oh, yeah,
there's
yeah,
a
yeah,
lighting.
in front of
Okay, I thought you
the,
meant across
in
the
front of the
street is
music.
the
Got
corner
it, got it,
parcel.
okay, okay, so this is.
And 3A is the one.
This one after the
Yeah.
other.
Now, 3C is across the street on 126th Street.
Okay, that's, I'm lost.
That's
This-
another,
That's another, but I'm just
don't mix
giving
them
you,
up
like,
together.
So 3A and 3B are on 125th Street. Those are the two properties that are fronting our parking lot right now.
And
Okay.
all three agreements are identical.
Yes.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Who choose those three locations? How did you choose it based on what?
They're in our
Those
master
locate,
plan.
those are the locations that are immediately adjacent to our surface lots. And there's, the locations that we, from the master plan, would develop the, parking garages.
Talking about this here and there.
Yep.
Where's the third one?
3C?
This one here, one here.
3C? You mean
Those
item
are-
3C?
No, it's,
That's why you didn't even meet with us and explain it to us before the meeting. That's why, at least I can work out and see what location are you talking about.
so
I don't even know what it is.
3A and
Mhm.
3B are the two retail locations to the immediate east of City Hall on 125th Street.
This here.
East,
Uh,
yeah.
East,
That's
yes,
east.
that way.
Mm-hmm.
The 3C item is on the
You're
north.
talking about the new building
No,
and,
the
the
two
old
buildings,
ones?
the two older buildings
okay,
west of the new building.
okay.
So the new building not included?
The new, that we're
Or you'll
bringing,
bring that up?
we're bringing that with,
That one in
with that
deals or
property
not
owner.
included?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I got it.
Okay, the third one.
The third one is located on, well, it's the north side of 125th, but our lots are on 126th, next to,
Talking about
next to
bu-
the Lewing Clinic. With, the city owns, three surface lots, adjacent to their,
It's
Next to
between
where?
between 8th and 9th.
between
Yes.
8th and 9th.
Next to
Between-
what?
Between 8 and 9.
The
Loon
Medical
Medical Center.
Center, that's behind Canasuk
Okay,
on 126th Street?
okay, Leon,
Yes.
Yeah.
that building, right?
Yes.
The building, we own the surface
That's when you're not talking
lots.
about the front. I know this, the parking lot, but you're talking about the front? The
No,
one
we're
you
talking
No,
negotiate?
you're talking about the lot.
Or you
the
negotiate
lot
only
belonging
with
to
the
us.
back
With,
owners?
yeah, with the back owners.
That's why you gotta do meetings with the guys. You just bring it here, we don't know, we don't know the location, we don't know nothing about it.
I didn't, I'm glad you asked that.
What about those lot here on the south side of,
Behind,
behind here,
behind,
by the police, next to the
cafe, in front of
police.
the police station?
Yeah, where the banks were,
Well,
the
we,
credit union, People Credit
Oh.
Union, where they were located
so
here.
that,
That
we,
location is a public parking lot.
well, we'll have to bring that location back as a separate item. Right now, we are focused on the,
But why don't you have like just a comprehensive plan for the whole downtown about all those lots?
well, we are working on your comprehensive plan is the master plan that was developed and approved by this board some years ago. So we are working from a, master strategic plan. It's just we have in front of us, based on the adjacent property owners, an opportunity to move quickly here, both on the 8th Avenue location and the location on 126 between 8th and 9th.
I think there is.
So
A,
that park, yes.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
That
It'll come
parking
back.
lot.
No, I know the one
next
you're
to
talking
the
about.
police department
Yeah.
is not including?
Not
You mean
tonight.
behind Mocha?
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah.
Behind Mocha Cafe?
Yeah, in front of
Yeah.
the police. Yeah, behind Mocha Cafe.
That's
Oh,
It
that's
is in the-
that's another beast.
It is in the
Mm.
master plan, but we're not presenting it tonight. We'll be bringing it to you in the next couple of months.
Why did you present those three first and not all of them together?
I think the main reason, if I may answer that, if you remember, I don't know if it was a CRA versus a council meeting where we had the presentation and we actually, I think it was a CRA meeting, we counted all the numbers of public parking that we have in the downtown area, and the birth of this project, of this parking lot to erect a mixed use building is to accommodate for those parking lot, which is about 400 something spaces, and that this new parking building would be about 400 and something spaces. So that needs to happen first before we actually compromise any of the open lots, because while you're building this, the people need in other places to park. So they cannot be done, concurrently. We need to execute that parking lot once it's open, and then we can accommodate for the other ones.
Because in previous talk, we were talking about the front end of that parking lot. We're talking about the north side by Leon Clinics. We're talking about the street, the alleyway, and the front building
So
on
that,
125th.
so
What
th-
changed that?
nothing
Yeah,
has changed from that. What we're doing is entering to the MOUs with the property owners. In order to get a parking garage that would be of sufficient length, we need to acquire 3 properties that are just off of 8th Avenue and moving east.
East.
Then we have our parking, and then Loon also owns they have a parking surface lot as well. So they basically own the 2 properties on either side of ours. The thought was to acquire the entire back block and then be able to work with the adjacent retail owners and deal with the alleyway. Because you need to cut through, or we could do a complete purchase. Urim is the owner, who's also the owner of the Dollar Tree, and the new retail just to the east of us is also the owner of the middle of that block. So when we bring that one back, you will see that retail frontage included. But right now, we're dealing with the 2 property owners on either side. They were ready to move their MOU
Because
forward.
if we are about to build a parking lot on the north side, we'll have to negotiate with the Jewish Community Center to see if they can use the parking lot and we can use the front as retail. We are
The
talking
Jewish Community Center.
Just yes.
the Jewish Community Center.
Okay.
They have a parking lot.
Is that 2 blocks
The
over?
first floor is a
Just
parking
right
lot.
across from Cafe Creme. Right across from the plaza.
Behind behind the lot.
I have to
They're
check.
behind. We have the parking lot behind.
So where you're talking about where Cafe Mocha, where Creme and
Across
Oh,
from
on the
Cafe
other
Creme.
side,
on the
Yeah.
other side.
The parking lot that you're talking
Mm.
about behind the Jewish Community Center you see here.
So to
The
the
lot
west,
is
so
behind.
to the west of where we're speaking of right now.
Yeah.
We say the north side.
North side of 125th
Yeah,
and west of our existing lots.
not west of it. We're talking about
Is-
the south of it. Because the Jewish Community Center is on 125th,
Right?
and right behind the lot is there.
That's not where these are.
But that's not.
Yeah.
It's not that one.
No.
No, this
That's
is,
the old-
this
that's
is the
another
block
one.
east.
You
Yeah, it's
see?
not that. It's not that one.
That's
So,
across the
I
street
would-
from City Hall. The ones in the back on 126 are block east.
Okay, you're talking
Same
about the one on
location as these
126
lots, but
close
one-
to 9th Avenue, right?
It's
Right.
between 8 and
Correct.
9.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
The Lung Medical Center.
But you know
building.
we own on 8th Avenue.
Yes.
also.
So
Yes.
We own 5 parcels in between.
Can I make a suggestion, Mr. Chairman? If either the director, the executive director, please brief us on these items. That would be a little bit helpful.
At least
You
we
know.
can work on the back and see exactly what we're talking
Just
about. Why this, why not that, and
Yeah, make it a point to just
it's not
go
only on
around
time,
with
we have
us.
on 8, we
discuss
have that
this
behind the
agenda
Jewish
item.
Community Center. That's
right.
Mr. Chair, if
I
it's the
think
pla-
the tax maps would have been helpful on each one to show the properties, which is what I'm looking at right now, which is why
If it's your
Yeah.
pleasure, you can approve all three of these at the same time if you're in consensus on
May
it.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman? Why did we have to limit our timeline to February 28th? That's a
Those are what the
very,
parties agreed to. I mean, we actually had a longer time frame. I think we were going out to what, Russia?
October.
October.
A year, yeah.
And they negotiated the agreements, and they didn't want to
Mhm.
go out that far. They didn't want to take their property off the market, so to speak, for that length of time.
because that's a very short window. So my second question is, I mean, I don't see how we'll really, between meetings, holidays, et cetera, how we've got to negotiate something, then it's got to come back to the council or
So
board.
to address that, and I can speak to like one of them particular that I spoke to. What they said was, allow us this amount of time. If we get to February and we're moving along, they will extend it.
Okay, that would be one thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is if we go into an agreement, if it's a purchase, or a lease, or whatever it is, that, can we write in a seriously long due diligence periods?
Well, once we agree in concept on business terms, I mean, we'll certainly have a, you know, a commercial real estate contract if it's a purchase, and we'll have a due diligence period that's long enough to do whatever due diligence we need to do.
Okay.
I mean, the whole point of this is to not spend the time and the money, you know, on either legal fees or appraisal fees or, you know, all the different or environmental tests before we even know we have a deal. I mean, we have to know with these folks what the deal's gonna be, then we'll paper it, we'll bring it back to you.
Do you think that's enough time? I mean.
Yes, I think, you know,
Okay.
our
I think-
intention is
yeah.
to sit down with them immediately after, if there is an approval, after there's an approval, and start work on this immediately.
There's no harm in it. so-
If I may piggyback on what you're saying, Councilwoman, February is not enough because October is pretty much over.
So,
And November is a dead month. You know, you have Halloween coming up, followed by, what's the other in November? Thanksgiving. And then right after Thanksgiving, it's pretty much Christmas.
So
People are not gonna be negotiating, and we want so much for this to come to fruition, and we want to give ourselves the opportunity to, and you're gonna be coming back and forth, and aren't we gonna go for recess,
Yeah, we have
during
the
Christmas
end of
time?
December,
Well-
we will have.
well,
Yeah.
remember, your recess does not keep me from working.
No, but you still have to bring them before us.
I do.
And people do travel during the holidays.
They do, and let me make a very important point, and I think all of you have done real estate transactions in your lives. We're getting a memorandum of understanding, which is a good faith effort with no money. Typically, when you enter in a transaction like this, in a normal real estate transaction, I'd put up $50,000, $100,000 of a deposit in escrow that would be non-refundable just to have a look like this. So, you know, I'm trying to be commercially reasonable to our taxpayers, really, to say that I'm willing to put in the work and do what I need to do, and Rasha and the rest of the staff for the next 3 to 4 months, and get us somewhere. If they know we're serious and we get somewhere longer, and they've given me the verbal commitment, they will extend it, because at least then they know we have something real. But if I was a property owner and we're in a very vibrant real estate market right now, am I really gonna say, all right, fine, I'm not gonna accept any offers for the next 6 months with no financial recourse? You're not gonna do it.
No, we're not gonna get hurt on this.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna get hurt. It would have been nice to have gotten at least into March, because,
they wouldn't agree.
okay. Do they
And-
understand, like, we
and-
have, like, once-a-month meetings?
Yeah, but
So we're not
point-
gonna really miss a meeting, because we're gonna meet December, the CRA, I assume.
Right,
and
but
then
the point is,
January.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but if we negotiate and agree, if the period ends for our negotiation with that, doesn't mean that, you know, if we have an agreement done and we can bring it back the next month in March if this thing ends in February. Or we can call a special meeting and approve the agreements. So, again, I agree, I don't think it hurts us. This is what they've agreed to. One of the property owners is here. I know they specifically said that they just wanted to February 28th. The other two aren't here, so if we don't approve it, we're gonna lose a month. If we want us to go back to them and ask them for more time, which they're not going to agree to.
Okay.
But we're not in
Make-
the rush of doing anything. If they don't want it, yeah. Why not at least 6 months? let them sell it. It's been there for 100 years, and now do it for just 4 months.
I would make a motion to approve the MOU. I don't think it hurts us.
Yeah.
It gives us a little time to, think if we're really gonna do it. In the meantime,
Okay.
staff will brief
I'll-
us as to what we're doing.
I'll
I
I
second
mean,
it.
you're gonna have to
Nothing.
come back with us and tell us, are we looking at purchasing, are we looking at leasing, are we looking at a PP, a 3P, and how are we gonna pay for it? Where we're
Okay.
getting the money. So you've got a lot of work to give back to this board, but I don't see where it hurts us to start.
And just to clarify, are
Talking about
you
it.
making a motion to approve all three of them?
They're identical, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Board Member Keys, seconded by Chairman Joseph to approve all three items. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0.
Thank you. Next item is the review and approval to hire Metro Express for the Northeast 124th Street roadway improvements. This project was approved in last fiscal year's budget, and again, we are grateful for Mr. Destrade's expertise in expediting this capital project.
Okay. Good evening, once again for the record, Alberto Estrade, Purchasing Director, City of North Miami. Board members, what you have before you is a recommendation to issue a purchase order to the contractor Metro Express for the improvement projects along 124th Street between 8th and 9th Avenue. In order to expedite and fast-track this project, what my department, in conjunction with the Public Works Department, we identified a contract that this company has through the National Joint Powers Alliance. And the National Joint Powers Alliance is a municipal government service cooperative which services over 40,000 city agencies, among them the City of North Miami, and which allows you to sort of benefit from the volume and competitive pricing that this agency is able to procure. This company, Metro Express, happens to be one of the contractors on their list. We engaged the company and requested that they submit a proposal for this work. Their proposal has been reviewed by the project engineer, by city staff, and actually by the NJPA itself, because they have a consultant that also reviews the proposals that are issued under their contracts. The recommendation before you is for a purchase order of $175,000, not to exceed that amount. There was already an initial amount of $25,000, a not to exceed amount, that was issued to them, a purchase order to initiate the work. As I'm sure probably most of you have seen, the work has already been started along 124th Street between 8th and 9th. And it is anticipated that with your approval of this purchase order, the work should be completed within approximately the next month or so, should be completed.
Actually, we wanted it to be over 6 months ago.
I have some questions.
This,
on this.
yeah, go
Um,
ahead.
I don't have a problem with choosing the contractor to finish, but there are items on here that I just mentioned to our chair, items that have already been completed and items that still have to be done. I don't know that this board has really ever been given plans or a real idea of what the project is. It's been in piecemeal. I've met with residents who live there. I get complaints about this, I get complaints about that, and I don't know that anybody else on the board, I know this, I think, was the mayor's initiative originally, but I've not really seen a full set of plans. I'm not 100% clear of where we're going. We keep stopping, this isn't being done, this is promised. I would really like to see some plans as to where we are and what's left. And so my first question is to make sure that these people are stepping in the shoes and finishing that contract, and we're not double dipping on certain items.
They're not, the Metro Express is the same company that we advanced the work on. So there's no stepping in the shoes. It's not two different companies.
We're just gonna ratify it.
So it's actually approving the remaining work.
Can we get a copy of the plans, the board? I mean, this is a CRA project. I don't know that it's ever been presented to us as a project and what it looks like. It's a big
I'm
project.
sorry, I just wanted to thank the owners of Gosland Properties for coming, and we look forward to working with you. All right.
Yes,
Great.
I can have Public Works provide the board members with the
Because before we're
plans.
final, I don't know if we're gonna have public hearing, but I hear that the sprinklers were just covered up for irrigation across the street. I don't know if it's supposed to continue being irrigated. There's a lot of little things going on, and I get it after the fact, and I'd rather not be reacting to everything. I'd really like to see what this project really is and what it's supposed to look like afterwards, because we have residents that have certain ideas in mind, and I'm kind of in the dark, and I didn't want to step on the mayor's toes to begin with, but I don't really have a final plan, nor does our board, and it's a big project.
So there are the project was designed, so there is a plan that is being executed on. My understanding, this project was years old, and years approved, and had been languishing for a very long time. And at the behest of a few of you, I needed to make sure that it got done, so we executed on the plans. What we can do as a process or procedure from procurement, depending on how we procure, if it's design build, or if it's design then procure the construction, what we can do is, once you approve the design company, they give us back a plan, then we can share that plan with you, get your individual feedback, and through the staff, and then proceed with the completion of the design.
So we still don't have a design?
No, yes, this company is actually building from the design. I will provide you with the full plans.
You know, there's plants, there's hedges along the wall. Are those being removed? Are they being, I mean, they're ugly hedges, they're hedges,
See,
they're good.
that's the problem. I mean, the work is being done. There is the design, but I will join you as well in the same way that the only way I know how this is being done is by driving through there
I drive through every day.
a couple of times a week to see what's being done. And actually, I had many questions because I see only the the north side of it has parking, whereas the south side of the street, the swell area is still the same way it was.
Correct.
And I've been even wondering whether we're gonna also do the south side of it.
On the
Yeah.
south side
But,
is,
Mr. Chairman, what we are discussing right now, we put the money aside for the project, but the staff never bring it, the design
Yeah.
for approval. That means we don't know what's going on. We just approve the money, but we never approve the plan.
Well-
And we don't know what's going on there. What are you doing? We know we're gonna do improvement. We were doing the drainage, but we never had see a plan, what trees you're gonna put there, what type of streets is gonna be, how you're gonna have parking. We never had that. And secondly, we allocated $200,000 from the mayor's fund, from the general fund. How come now it become a CRA project?
Do you remember I asked you that question?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought
because
that
it
was
was,
allocated
it
from
was
his-
the allocated fund from the mayor,
Right.
which
Yeah.
is $750,000. $200,000 was allocated for that
Yeah.
street. I don't know how come
I'll
how it
have to look
become
into that. I've
a
only known
CRA
this,
project.
I've only known this to be a CRA project.
This was out of when we were given 100,000, the mayor was given the 400.
About 700
Yeah.
and something. And
Se-
the
se- $750,000.
$200,000 from his money
Yeah.
was allocated to that project. How did it become a CRA project?
Since I've been here for 2 years, and Mr. Ghani was here. It was in the budget that was approved in the 14-15 budget as a CRA project. I never saw it as a city.
Oh, so my money's still
line
there
item.
then?
Still there.
No,
but
no,
it
no,
wasn't-
again, I'm sorry, I
But the
apologize.
money was
Yeah.
allocated
We
15,
have,
16.
by state statute, the CRA projects, we have 3 years to get a
That's
capital
not
project
what we are
done.
discussing.
No, I know, but I'm trying to explain to you that since I've been here, this particular project was funded by the CRA, and it was held up
Okay.
through
Listen.
design
So-
and permitting.
When we vote, the mayor decide what you wanna do with his money. I remember 100,000 was allocated for home beautification, and 200,000 was for that street from the general fund.
This was in
La-
your budget in
year.
2014?
15, 16, I believe.
15, 16, it was from the mayor's fund.
That's why I'm calling it the
I
mayor's
think in that-
initiative, because it
yeah.
was coming from his
Yeah.
discretionary
Yeah.
fund.
Well, I will, as your city manager, go and review that resolution and
Okay.
figure out where it is.
So if we
I've
have,
only known it to be a CRA project.
No.
It's in the CRA budget and has.
I asked you that question the other day when you mentioned CRA. I mean,
So I
because
don't know
it
how
was
did it
never a
become
CRA
so
project.
may I?
Or
may-
did we spend the
It's-
first 200,000? That's another 200,000 that we are spending
I'd have to go and look.
for the drainage.
You've only,
May I ask another statement, Mayor?
Go ahead.
So if we have 200,000 from the mayor's discretionary, and we have 175 from the CRA, we do have a lot of money. Could we take one step back and make sure that we're doing a really nice job? We do have some really problem swales. Maybe we looked at the swales, we couldn't afford the swales, but if we have that extra money, maybe we could do a little bit more with the swales on the south side instead of having rock mud pits there.
well,
One
And
thing.
even the residents are not aware of exactly what we are doing, what is the plan. what
Okay.
the plan is.
And,
So-
and let me just ask one last question. In this proposal, I see something called stamped asphalt. What is stamped asphalt? Sounds horrible.
Is it going to be stamped concrete or stamped
Yeah.
asphalt?
It-
Concrete.
It's asphalt, it looks fancier, but that's only because of the way it's stamped and then the way that it's coated and painted. It's really asphalt, but it gives the impression of being a nice fancy
Concrete.
sidewalk at much cheaper cost.
In fact, through the chair, you actually have it in other areas of the city. We have that same sort of, look. And that's why that was incorporated into the design. It was to sort of mirror some other areas of,
Well,
of the
since
city.
we have a little extra money, I think we should, this
well,
is,
wait,
Okay.
wait. Before you say we have,
Well,
on the
we might
record, we have a
have,
little extra
okay.
money. One, we're in the CRA meeting, and I need to, you
Okay.
said that money was general fund allocated. I would need to,
Go back
review
and
and
check.
make sure. I'm gonna go and research
But
that
this-
allocation.
we're
How much
looking to
money we
put
already
this,
spent on the
Right.
project?
Right.
Yeah.
we're looking to put this big beautiful building. I think we should, it's right there. People are parking and walking there because they're going to the building department. They're parking there. I mean, it should look nice. I mean, it is the entrance to our city hall. So I'd rather not skimp if we can talk to the city and see if there's still some money available.
For the south side.
Well, the south side design, and I was gonna address that because I've had some questions come up prior to today. The south side is meant to be, grass wells. You have,
Just have to do all that. When was the plan? And that's
okay,
it.
I'll bring you the plans.
That's all we're gonna see the,
Okay.
at least.
So what are we doing?
No, just start doing the work.
No,
Yeah.
they already
Vote on
started.
it.
I'd make
So they are-
I
yeah,
would
they
make a
already-
motion to go ahead with this, company to continue doing the work, but I
Okay.
still, before we get too far and jump ahead, come back to us, let us know what it is exactly you're doing,
How much money we already spent?
what's,
I'll have to figure that out.
The only thing is because if you spend this 200,000 before and then you're using the CRA for the rest, or exactly what it is.
I'll
so we
find out.
should use the CRA, and then if there's extra money to help implement or supplement the project,
I don't like the
That's-
extra money.
that's up to the.
Extra money.
That's up
I'll
to,
take
that's
it,
up to the
Mr.
mayor out of
Mayor.
his discretionary fund, which he obviously has not spent yet, so. I make a motion to approve.
All right,
this
I
contract.
second.
We have a motion on the floor made by Board Member Keys, seconded by Chairman Joseph to approve the item. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0.
Okay, do we have any reports? City Attorney?
No, except that I have to go catch up with those two little girls quickly, so I'm
Director?
gonna have to excuse myself.
None, sir.
Council, board members? All right, motion to adjourn?
Second.
6:37.
All right.
I just have a question about the CRA.
So I have more